Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, take the roll.
O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Holmes. DeZiel.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Atkins Hoggett. Hall.
Here.
All right, we have some presentations to start us off. We've got the Hudson ambassadors here tonight. Excuse me, great to have you with us. So come on up.
Speak here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so hi everyone. We are your 2019-2020 Hudson Ambassadors. My name is Lillian Gingras and my sponsor is Onsite Apparel.
My name is Olivia Tennant and my sponsor is Helmer Dance Studio. My name is Abby Matuk and my sponsor is Cook & Hendrickson Chiropractic.
And I'm Shay Wassman, and my sponsor is State Farm Agency. We just want to thank you for allowing us to attend this evening. We are so happy to be here today to thank you for all your support and donations to our program. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight as we talk about what the Hudson Ambassador Program has done for all of us. Because of your support, we have been able to attend many eye-opening events like Halos of Hudson and National Night Out.
We are 4 months into our year-long commitment this year to our program and have already done so much. One of my favorite events so far was the Amory Fall Festival as well as the Halos of Hudson St. Croix Valley. And at these particular events, my court and I had the opportunity to be in an amazing parade in Amory. And after the royal family and I visited the festival, and it was an amazing time to bond and get to know these girls even better. Another was the Halos of Hudson downtown, and where we played with children and worked the game booth there. And I enjoyed seeing all the families help and support one another, and I enjoyed seeing the smiles we put on kids' faces and the ones that they gave us.
My favorite event has been the Stillwater Lumberjack Days because of how large the parade was. We were able to socialize with many different people from all around, and we were even able to hold and play with chickens, which I thought was very fun. Another one of my favorite events was the National Night Out, where we got to socialize with businesses and organizations from around Hudson, and we even got to socialize with some of the kids and give them tattoos, which I thought was really amazing.
All right, so one of my favorite parade was in Chippewa Falls. I enjoyed this one, excuse me, due to it reminding me of our beautiful town, Hudson. The downtown area is gorgeous, and the community came out and supported their little big town. Another event I attended was the Fire Prevention Night at the firehouse with Olivia Tennant. We got to hand out cookies and refreshments. I enjoyed seeing the younger children light up when they saw us. It literally makes my heart melt. I am thankful that I was chosen to be a role model. I have experienced some of the greatest events in our community so far. This opportunity has made me a well-rounded young woman, and I absolutely love representing Hudson with these three amazing, beautiful young women.
My favorite event has been the Anoka Parade because everyone was able to decorate their floats to a certain theme and dress up with it. It was super interesting to see all the floats and how much effort everyone put into them. Another one of my favorites was National Night Out. Having an interaction with the kids in the community and being able to give them tattoos and make them smile and laugh was a highlight for me. Community service is a large part of our program as we've helped out again with Feed My Starving Children and the Fire Prevention Week Kids Fest in Hudson, and have enjoyed every minute of this experience. And we cannot wait to share this experience when our festival is held next year. Until then, with our remaining reign as Hudson Ambassadors, we will continue to lead with grace and represent Hudson alongside these three lovely women and show what Hudson has to offer. Once again, thank you all and hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here. It's a rewarding program for everybody, and this program has done a great job in being ambassadors for the city. And I think that I speak for everybody here that it's a program that we definitely are going to be continuing to sponsor. So thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. All right, next presentation, Lift and Loop Celebration by Mike Polena. Say that right, Mike?
Close.
Polina? Polena?
That's a tough one to, I guess I'm here as the ambassador for Stillwater tonight, so. I'm a city council member in Stillwater. We started planning for the Lift and Loop celebration of the opening of the lift bridge. And I wanted to update you a little bit on what we're doing. Jim's on our committee, Mary and his wife's on our committee. We've gotten St. Croix County's on our committee, Stillwater Hudson's on our committee, Somerset's on our committee, New Richmond's on our committee, Oak Park Heights. We're trying to make this a total community celebration, total, I shouldn't say community, area celebration. You know, we all worked so hard to get that Stillwater River crossing or the St. Croix River crossing completed. We worked together on getting that done. And part of that was the mitigation, was the redevelopment or the redoing of the lift bridge across in Stillwater into Holton area. So we have a committee together now that put together. We have over 30 people on our committee working to put this together, and I thought I'd update you a little bit about what we're doing. This started out, we were supposed to open up this last June. It didn't get done. Then it was supposed to be done on September 27th was going to be the celebration. That didn't get done. Then it was going to be done the day after Thanksgiving. That's not going to be done. Now it's going to be done by the end of January. So, but our celebration we're planning is for May 15th and May 16th of next year. The May 15th will be the official ribbon cutting of the bridge. So I'd like you all to put that on your calendars to participate. I think I look at this, we're all in this together. Our trail is going to service our community, your community. There's a lot of different activities that we can do in the future to supplement our communities, and the tourism that it's already bringing into Stillwater is remarkable, the trails. So the 15th is the official ribbon cutting. After that, we're looking at having a dinner on the bridge. I've been working with the local Rotary groups, the two Stillwater Rotary clubs, the Lake Elmo Rotary Club. Mark Garrity's working with I guess there's two Rotary clubs in Hudson here, working and having the Rotary clubs help put on the dinner. I've got all the food donated already. And I'd like, if possible, you to participate as elected officials of your community. Our plan is to have aprons made that say you're elected official serving you, and we're hoping to serve the public, or that we serve on the bridge. So I want to have you put that on your schedules. After the dinner on the bridge, we're looking at having a street dance on the promenade in front of the bridge. That's all being rebuilt. We're going to make a pedestrian plaza from Main Street to the old lift bridge in Stillwater. So we're going to close that down and have a street dance just like we did when we closed the bridge down. So that'll be a celebration of the opening of the bridge. Now the big thing is going to be on Saturday the 16th. We're looking at having a pancake breakfast in the morning, but then the big thing we're going to try to do is we're going to try to set a world record for people holding hands across the two states, the two bridges, and we're calling Hands Across the Croix. We're trying to get 6,200 people to hold hands around the whole loop. We started organizing it. Stillwater we're going to fund the application, and that we're actually putting $15,000 towards the event, the whole event, not just the holding hands. But we're going to want to get people from Hudson all around to participate in the event. So a lot of people are excited about that. We were at the Polk County tourism meeting about this already. So the Wisconsin tourism people there, we're trying to get the governor of Wisconsin there. The Wisconsin tourism person has said she'd like to be there. So it's coming together. I think the big thing is we're trying to work together across state lines. They said that's never really been done before, other than to get the bridge through. So I just wanted to give you an update of what we're looking at doing. So the holding hands, then we're also looking with the bike clubs to have a bike rodeo up at the rest area up by Holton School up there, different bike events, handicapped little bike rides for handicapped people. The St. Croix River Association is looking at possibly having a paddle down the river that day. It's just a fun day. And then our Stillwater Rotary Club's having what's called their Brewers Bazaar at night. So it'll be a bunch of beer, I can't remember what night I'm done. My brewery company, the Brewers, Lift Bridge, and some of the local breweries are coming to do a party on the boats on the river. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on what we're doing, where it's at. We've got a great representative right here. He's been to every meeting we've had. So he and his wife have been there, and it's coming together. But now it's going to be crunch time because it's going to happen this time. So, or I hope. So,
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me come down.
Yeah.
It was nice to see your finance director too.
Yeah. So, feel free to spend some time downtown here tonight.
I was going to have dinner. I was going to have dinner already, and actually, some of our favorite restaurants are down here. So we go to. I can't keep my wife out of Mama Maria's, so. But they're from Stillwater, so. All right. Well, you guys have a great night.
All right, thanks. Thanks for being here. All right, next we have Lakeview EMS monthly run report. Good to have you here.
Hi there. So my name is Bridget Murphy, for any of you who may not have already met me. I'm the operations supervisor for Lakeview EMS. So I'd like to start out by saying thanks for inviting us here tonight to give you guys some information. And I also want to say that, so on September 9th at 6 a.m., Lakeview began providing ambulance service to the city of Hudson and the surrounding communities. And since then, I can speak for all of Lakeview EMS when I say that we have had such a warm welcome from nearly everybody that we've interacted with. So the fire department, the police department, I think newfound friends and partnerships there, but as well as city staff here in this building, all of you guys, and people of the public too. So it's been really great settling in over here, and I'm really excited about where we're going from here. So I'm here tonight to just give you guys a rundown on some of our call volumes and our numbers since we started service over here. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the numbers I'm going to give you just so that they're clearly defined. So I have call volumes from the month of September, starting the morning of the 9th through the end of the month, and then call volumes for the month of October as well. So there's kind of three different numbers that I'm going to give you, and that's the total number of requests for service in the area, and the number of those that were requested emergent or 911 calls for emergent situations, and then the number of transfers we've done out of the hospital as well since we've been here. So this is just for the city of Hudson. From September 9th to September 30th, we had a total of 60 requests for service in the city. So of those, 56 were requested emergent. So just to clarify, any that aren't requested emergent may be considered public assist type calls. So someone falls and is uninjured, just needs help getting up, or somebody is ill and just doesn't have means of being transported to the hospital other than ambulance. So we don't use lights and sirens, it's a routine response is what we call that. But so 56 emergent calls. Of those 56, for 50 of those calls, our crew came from the base right here. Of the additional 6 calls, 4 calls were responded to from elsewhere in the Hudson area, and 2 calls were responded to from the Minnesota side or outside of the Hudson area. Our average response time for the city of Hudson in the month of September was 4 minutes and 33 seconds. In the entire Hudson service area, so this includes the township, the village of North Hudson, portion of Troy Township, and Warren Township that was previously covered by St. Croix EMS. We had a total of 86 requests for service. 79 of those were requested emergent. Of those 79, 70 of them were responded to from the Hudson base here. 7 were responded to from elsewhere in Hudson, and 2 were responded to from the Minnesota side or outside of the service area. The overall average response time for September in the entire Hudson service area was 5 minutes and 14 seconds. During that time in September, we also did 48 transfers out of Hudson Hospital. Moving on to October. October was a busier month for us, especially in this part of the area. So in the city of Hudson, we had 100 requests for service. Of those, 93 were requested emergent. Of the 93, 87 we responded to from the Hudson base here in quarters. Of the additional 6, there was 2 we responded from elsewhere in Hudson, and 4 we responded from outside of the service area. Our average response time for the city of Hudson in October was 5 minutes and 6 seconds. In the entire Hudson service area, again, in the month of October, there was 129 total requests for service. 120 of those were requested emergent. Of those 120, 110 were responded to from the Hudson base here. Of the additional 10, 4 were responded to from elsewhere in Hudson area, and 6 were responded to from outside of the Hudson area. Our average response time for the total Hudson service area for the month of October was 5 minutes and 29 seconds. In the month of October, additionally, we had 58 transfers out of the hospital. So that's kind of a breakdown of the numbers that we kind of prepared for you guys tonight, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions, any supplemental numbers that you guys would be looking for from me.
Anybody? Questions?
Yeah. So, all right, so the no lights and siren responses, those are for people who probably have a slip and fall or something like that. Is that?
Yep, it doesn't take much to bump it up to what we call a code 3 or a lights and sirens response. So more often than not, dispatch will err on the side of caution and you get sent emergent to things. So the ones that they send us to non-emergent are typically very minor type situations where a person really just needs assistance somehow and doesn't have other means of getting that.
All right. The average response times. Now, the contract calls for the 90th percentiles to be cited. Do you have
Sure.
those numbers?
I do, yep.
Okay.
So September in the city of Hudson, the 90th percentile was 7 minutes, 25 seconds. September in the entire service area, the 90th percentile was 9 minutes and 33 seconds. For October in the city of Hudson, the 90th percentile was 8 minutes, 11 seconds. And October in the entire service area, the 90th percentile was 8 minutes and 38 seconds.
Okay. All right, so back to the non-emergent. Who determines this? Is that determined by St. Croix Dispatch? Or is that determined as far as whether it's considered an emergent or a non-lights and siren?
So generally, the dispatch center that takes the 911 call that's actually talking to the person on the phone will determine whether it's emergent or non-emergent. So in this case over here in the Hudson area, that caller goes to St. Croix County, so they make that determination and relay that information to our dispatch.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've seen the data from September, and what I would really like to see is we had data from January and February, and it had more columns. So when the St. Croix County Dispatch actually got the call, when Lakeview Dispatch was notified. So then we were able to monitor how, I'd really like to be able to see, being able to monitor the dispatch issue, and then also being able to monitor how well things like I am responding and other ways of improving because of that dispatch issue, how those are doing, whether we're having any problems with those.
We can certainly put some of that data together for you. The easiest way to do that would probably be to pull the dispatch times from our I Am Responding program, because that indicates essentially when St. Croix County gets the call or first generates the call, and compare that to the time when our dispatch is notified.
Yeah.
We can certainly put that together for you guys. I can just speak from my experience in listening to the calls, and since we've put the I Am Responding in place, like today alone, there was a number of times when we had calls in this service area where our dispatch actually went off before the I Am Responding
And yeah, that's
came out as well.
That's what
So-
John was telling me, and so I just like to see the numbers so
Absolutely.
so that we know. I mean, you know, I'm not disputing the information.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're tracking this information, and so that we know that our Band-Aids are working.
So that's something we can put together. I can put that together for you guys and email it over for you to review if you'd like, or we can present on it at the next time we present, or both.
And then, yes, some of the data was confusing because it wasn't all in the same kind of a frame. So some of it had millisecond data, which really it's only important in the Olympics. And so that was confusing. It takes a while to understand the reports when you go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense.
So I think John had maybe mentioned previously, but on August 26th, we switched a software platform.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And
know
so
that.
both him and myself are both still just getting adjusted to the new format and
Okay.
building the reports so that they kind of look nice and are easy to read. So we're still working out some of the kinks on that, but hopefully
Okay.
as we move forward, they are just clearer or easier for you guys to read.
Good. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, the other question I've got is, what's happening with the advisory committee?
Trying to remember.
The contract says that we have,
Right, oh, that's right. So the, each one of the municipalities wanted to do their own thing, and it's too bad that Bill isn't here to answer that question, I guess, because he was
Okay.
in contact with them.
let's put it on the next meeting agenda then.
Well, I think it just requires appointments at this point. It's in the agreement. I believe the city has 4 representatives that are on there, so I think I'll talk with the mayor about getting
Okay.
that set up and getting the appointments made. And so then that way we have the group that these reports can be going through and things like that, so, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we are to citizen comments. This is the opportunity for citizens that are here to comment on anything that they would like to talk about. Please keep it relatively short if possible. And also, we do not allow comments on any item that is on the agenda later. So, anybody here that'd like to make a comment? Anybody want to make a comment? Anybody want to make a comment? Hearing none, we'll go on, close that portion of the agenda. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda items for tonight's meeting are as follows. Approve the meeting minutes from the October 21st, 2019 regular council meeting. Approve the claims in the amount of $1,132,950.88. Approve the regular operator license applications as listed on the issue sheet. Approve a conditional use permit application for an indoor recreation facility at 2000 O'Neill Road, Suite 100, the Dancing House.
Okay, and Jennifer did make the correction on the October 21st meeting in minutes that Paul had seconded, not I, on the,
The previous minutes. Oh. Yeah.
so there is that correction in there.
Okay? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve with that correction.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Roll call?
Morissette.
Yes.
DeZiel.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Consent agenda is approved. Moving on, motion to reconsider memorial policy decision.
I'll move to, for unanimous consent on reconsidering the memorial policy.
Motion for unanimous consent. Is there any objection? Doesn't need a second.
For this.
Any objection? Hearing no objection, motion's approved, reconsideration is approved.
I'll move that we leave the existing memorials as is, moving forward, and to follow the policy moving forward. So do not remove any of them.
Is it two parts of the motion?
No, it's one.
Okay,
A second.
motion second, discussion?
I just want to apologize to any families that might have been offended by last time's meeting. It was not my intent to do so, so I do apologize. I also apologize to Sarah Atkins Hoggett for being passionate, probably at the wrong time.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Hold on, my only, just a clarification on the motion. I understand the first part of it, but what's the second part of it?
That we go, moving forward, we follow the policy as it is until we revisit it.
Okay. I guess my thought on it is I think tonight we should remedy the situation, so I'm agreeing with the first part you're saying. But as far as the second part, I think we should actually direct city staff to change the policy. I think it's probably been good to have memorials at parks. The fact that we have 15 or to 20, whatever we talked about last meeting, it seems to be helping people, families, and it seems to be helping the city because we're getting these benches and different things. I would reconsider the policy. I think part of the problem last meeting was we put ourselves in a box because we were trying to figure out the policy wasn't followed, obviously, and we were trying to figure out how we remedy that situation. And I think we weren't aggressive enough about saying, instead of remedying the situation, why don't we remedy the policy? So I think it makes more sense to move toward changing that policy as we move forward. So I love the first part of your motion, but I'm struggling with the second part of it.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that the second part of the motion is to follow the policy until it's been addressed for a change. So
Correct.
I don't see
Okay.
where
So I'm
that's.
agreeing with you, Paul.
Right.
Okay.
You can make a different motion at some other future point.
Okay.
Right.
So we can finish this motion, and then we can also talk about, I was going to suggest that we send this back to the park board to make recommendations
Okay.
about changing the policy, perhaps even having some, like, we got an email about the Minneapolis has engraved pavers that are memorials. My husband suggested that, some people might want to have some pavers that would memorialize a pet, and the dog park would be a good place to put those and use it as a fundraiser for the dog park. So I think that the park board should be discussing changes to the policy and making a recommendation to the city. So once we've finished this motion, then I think Paul and I will probably have a motion for the other part of it.
Right. I understand, Randy. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure we're not locking ourselves into the present policy. I guess that's what my concern was, so. Okay.
We also have an email from Councilmember.
Okay, Councilmember Sarah Atkins Hoggett has a statement here that she would like to be read into the record. Hello, Council and Mayor. I am unable to be present at this evening's council meeting. However, I want to be sure my opinions are known by each of you as you ponder any motion and vote regarding memorials. At the last council meeting, I stated that I felt that we, the leaders on the council, needed to take responsibility for the fact that our own policies were not being followed. We cannot place blame on staff nor residents who thought they were following procedure. My bottom line is this: in every situation, we are the leaders and the final buck stops here at this table. I believe forcing removal of any memorial already in place is unreasonable and places the pain of another loss back on an innocent family already deep in grief. As you know, it has not even been 5 years since I lost both of my parents, followed by the sudden and unexpected loss of my husband of 27 years. I know grief altogether too well. I have compassion and empathy not only for the Leonard family, but for all the families that have been chosen to memorialize a loved one within our fine city. I stand firmly in my initial position on this matter, that the one that Public Works Committee recommended in the first place to grandfather in all existing memorials. In addition to reversing the decision to remove any memorials, I wish to encourage a motion to revisit our policy for review and revision. Many examples of city policies have been presented to us in emails the past 2 weeks. I would like to see Hudson encourage residents to memorialize loved ones lost and do it in a manner that makes great sense. It absolutely can and should be a win-win. If other cities do it, we can too. Sincerely and respectfully, Sarah Atkins Hoggett.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Paul, did you want to make a motion to?
Can I just kind of comment on that?
Yeah.
With the agenda, kind of how it's set, the conversation was on kind of the decision we made last meeting. I think just to feel comfortable with it, can we put this on the next agenda as
Well, B
an
says
actual?
discussion and possible action on memorial policy.
But it was supposed to basically just be a follow-up from A, the
Okay.
motion to that reconsider. I understand it. I don't know, Kathy, how you feel about it.
I mean,
I
it
start
could
getting
go either
hesitant.
way. I don't think you should have a substantive discussion, but if you want to refer it somewhere, I
Well,
think it's fine.
we
Or
just
you
put it
can-
on the agenda.
Yeah,
for next.
then you can have
I'm
this.
good with it. I don't think it has to happen right now.
No.
I'm good with waiting 2 weeks or
Okay.
whatnot,
Yeah.
so.
With winter coming, we're not going to be installing a lot of things anyway.
It'll be on the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, discussion and possible action relating to the 2020 budget proposal.
The only thing we wanted with that is I know that those of you that aren't on the Finance Committee have been sitting in for the most part to the Finance Committee meetings. And I just wanted to allow for any questions that you might have on the budget itself, big picture, everything, prior to next council meeting where we'll actually have the public hearing and hopefully the adoption as presented. But just because you haven't had that chance to kind of weigh in yet before that, I wanted to make sure that we took that input or questions if you had them before the hearing on it next meeting.
I was going to say, the discussion by a representative from Ellers was completely clear, and I maybe we'll understand that someday.
Aaron, my only question was that in the resource materials, when I went through them, I think it was a $94,000 for a new police officer. I wasn't clear whether that was included in the numbers that were presented at the last finance meeting or tonight, or is that separate from those?
No, that's not in the budget as recommended. And so the Finance Committee did have a conversation with the chief about, okay, so we know that this officer request is out there even though it's not in the budget. And the chief's response is that, and I'll speak for him unless he wants to step up at any point to respond. Yep. So basically, the response is that the chief would prefer to get the CSO officer in this budget, which is in the budget, and see how that plays out. And based on how the workloads come with that CSO, he may be coming forward then with the next budget for that officer, but his priority would be get the CSO this time.
Right, I was just confused because that's what I thought it was, but then when I saw it in the support materials,
It's not, it was just more.
It was an older document,
Yeah,
probably.
it's more the reference that it's out there still, that it's a request that probably will be coming back in the
Okay.
future.
Thanks, Chief. All right, do we need to do anything?
No, no action.
From
So
the Finance Committee?
the long and short of it is what I make out of it is this: the equalized value and the assessed value are far apart, and we have to respond to what the state gives us with the equalized value. So it's sort of out of our hands in terms of some of that. Is that correct?
Well, basically, sort of. The state does the equalized value. We do the assessed value. But generally speaking, they're fairly in line. And if you're ever over, you have to be within, I believe it's within 10% is what the requirement is. And if in a 4-year period, I'm trying to remember exactly what the law says, but if in that 4-year period, if you're outside that 10%, at some point, you'll get a notice from the state that you need to do a reassessment to get yourself kind of back in line. So we were obviously over 10% this year. For next year's budget, we're over 20%. And we don't anticipate that that's would correct itself on its own. So we'll do a reassessment, which the council had already approved, I'm not sure when, about a year or so ago, I think. They already approved it, and it'll be done early next year. So at that point then, when the full reassessment's done, the anticipation is going to be then that 20+% we'll be down well under 10, hopefully under 5.
Okay.
It'd be fairly close. And that'll help then with all this one-year issue that we're seeing.
It was also recommended that out of our special finance and tonight's that we would basically approve what we're looking at.
Correct.
Right,
For you guys to go through.
Right.
right. Okay, thanks. But you're not looking for any action?
No formal action I don't think is needed tonight.
Okay.
Just give you the chance to ask questions because you're not part of that active process.
I appreciate that.
All right, discussion and possible action on the approval of the City of Hudson's consent to a conditional payment of grant between St. Croix Meadows LLC and Park Place Village LLC.
I don't know, is Mike here?
Mike's here, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to explain it. Basically, what we have is just a consent, whereby the city consents to an assignment of the tax increment from St. Croix Meadows to one of the new developers, Park Place Village.
Yep, for the residential component.
LLC. It doesn't change any of the obligations of the city. The city's obligations are the same under its original development agreement with St. Croix Meadows. We just required them to notify the city and let the city have input into it. And if there's any issues between those two parties, they resolve them. The city operates the same way.
So Mike, are you comfortable with the agreement?
Oh, absolutely, yep.
Okay,
I'll move we approve it.
I would second.
Motion and second to approve. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Discussion and possible action on issues relating to Madison Avenue Wine and Spirits Class B beer license application.
I think I will turn this one over to Kathy. It's been kind of an ongoing situation as we tried to work through what can we actually do here to meet this request that we received. And it has been complicated by the fact that we have to deal with our licensing, state licensing, and then also zoning comes into play and definitions in zoning. So it's been a very complicated process. I know that the owner has been probably way more than patient as the city has tried to figure out for sure what we can actually do or not do and try to accommodate the request. So I think at this point, we are finally there. And I know this has been going on for a while, but I'll kind of turn over to Kathy to explain kind of basically two options that we have and then get some direction from the council on it. Would you like us to move forward with one of them?
So you all got my memo. I tried to give you some background to it and just some of the decisions the previous councils have made. But the situation we're in is under our liquor licensing ordinance, which includes Class B beer licenses, we have a restriction for separate Class B beer licenses whereby their primary business needs to be the serving of food, i.e. a restaurant. That's not part of the state statutes, but cities and municipalities are allowed to adopt more restrictive provisions, and that's what the city has had for quite some time. So to qualify for a Class B beer license in Hudson, your primary business must be the serving of food. And you look under the definitions in the statute, you look at sales, you look at square footage of, area assigned over to different parts of your business. And in any event, this applicant came up a little bit short, didn't meet the 50% or more in sales to show that her primary business was the service of food. At the same time, we also have under our zoning for breweries, manufacturers, and wineries located in an industrial 1 zoning district that in order to serve food, it has to be a subordinate part of your business. The two just are in conflict and they can't meet both. The whole business of breweries, brew pubs, wineries, manufacturers, which are distilleries, and tasting rooms are relatively new. And I think about 4 or 5 years ago, the city adopted a whole zoning ordinance to try to accommodate those types of businesses, and they often deal with mixed uses. And so that was made a part of that part of the zoning ordinance, that the restaurant in an I-1 district, it had to be a subordinate part of the use. The city's looking at the comp plan, it's looking at zoning, the city could even look at that aspect of the zoning ordinance. I did talk with our community development director, and there's so many of these combinations of businesses that, at least in my opinion, that's an easier part of the puzzle to fix. There's been kind of a history on the use of the restaurant for the Class B beer license, keeping that requirement. And there's a lot of, it just opens up the door to a wide variety. That, I believe, is the reason why the city initially adopted that requirement for separate Class B beer licenses. There's just a wide variety of types of businesses that could then become eligible. It's not a decision for me to make, but just in my opinion and in talking with Aaron and also Mike Johnson, and just knowing that these businesses are relatively new and increasingly popular, it might be worth looking into the zoning aspect more than the Class B beer part of the ordinance.
And I think that would be staff's recommendation as well. I mean, between the two choices of either amending our liquor license ordinance to match the state, which would open it up, as Kathy said, to a wide variety of potential bars coming in under this license, versus looking at or directing staff to work with the planning commission to amend our zoning ordinance to address and allow this, to remove that subordinate restaurant requirement in the I-1. Staff recommends that we would, if the council wants to make any changes, to direct staff to direct community development to go work with the planning commission to look at how we would amend that subordinate requirement in the I-1 district to allow for restaurants to occur. And that would address this situation, I think, in the best way that we could.
I've got a question. So Hop and Barrel, they don't even serve food. What type of a license do they have? They don't have a Class B.
I'm guessing it's, it might be, I don't know, to be honest.
Brewery through the state.
Brewery through the state.
Yeah.
See, this,
What is that?
it's a state permit, not a, the city
They have
doesn't
a
get
state
involved.
permit.
Yeah,
Oh.
They don't even get involved.
same with Madison Avenue has a state and federal manufacturer's permit. We're not involved with it at all. And a winery, well, no, it comes in under her manufacturer's permit.
So
Have a conditional use permit too.
I'd like to see us get out of the way and let these businesses come together. So you're recommending we send it to Plan Commission, which is the easiest way, because we've had restaurants in our business parks. Kaladi's was out on the new business park, so it's not new. So if that is the case, I would move that we take it to Plan Commission and then work it out so she can allow that beer license to be available. Otherwise, my thought was, why don't we, if we had to reduce the food requirement percentage?
Well, it's,
Because we've moved past that era of just bringing in bars, and we still have ultimate control over what's coming in.
Is that?
yeah.
Who monitors that?
Pardon?
Who's monitoring that?
Well, certainly when the licenses are issued. No, I am not monitoring sales.
Documentation.
Every renewal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's not necessarily it's an analysis of their business. How much square footage do they devote to? I know when we did Cheers Pablo, it was a
and
very
they don't
small
have it now.
portion. Pardon?
And they don't have, they're not doing that now. They don't have beer because it
Right,
was
because-
hand-tied. We had a golf simulator that wanted to have beer, and we lost that business.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're moved past the whole bars downtown thing.
Well, that's a discussion for the council to have.
You
not
can, then you
to
can
me.
make that change to the liquor license instead, and that would.
I'd like to have it explored, not necessarily change it, because we do want some control.
Okay.
We could look at some options with that.
I'll second Randy's motion.
There's going to be more of it coming, as you alluded to, winery, distilleries.
Well, that, I think we should look at it then.
We
What
need
you're
to be
saying is
compatible
both.
with the state base.
Well, the state doesn't get into the zoning.
Well, you know what I mean?
That's our
Yeah.
strictly local, and actually our Class B, our requirement to have it be a restaurant is also a local
Right.
city requirement.
I'd like to make a comment on that, if I could, please. I guess at the request, I'm the
identify
business owner, I'm Kelly Yoke, I'm the owner of Madison Avenue Wine and Spirits. So at the request that I was asking for consideration from the city council and from the mayor is something that specifically applies to wineries in the state of Wisconsin. So I understand that there is considerations that you don't want this to be opened up to potential for many various types of businesses or just bars included. Again, there's a statute 125.53 through the state of Wisconsin legislature that states, again, specifically pertaining to wineries, that it's not necessary to have any type of food service whatsoever, and you can hold a combination of permits, and you can, in fact, hold either a Class A or a Class B beer license. So as it applies, 65 Vines, they are, of course, not within the city of Hudson. Also Crack Barrel, they're not in the city of Hudson either, and both of them have beer permits. So they follow along with the state of Wisconsin guidelines, again, as it pertains to a winery specifically.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got a motion and a second to send this to Plan Commission with recommendations coming from staff. Is that right?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
My only concern is time frame. We're holding up the permit for something we probably would really like to see happen. But
I don't know how else to address it, now that we actually know for sure how we can really do it legally and correctly.
I guess
We'll move it as expediently as possible.
There we go. That'd be my
Look at our
emphasis.
staff people that
Let's
will
make it-
move it
Make it
expediently.
happen.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. I don't have anything. Anybody?
I have one thing. There's been a lot of buzz about the parking at the library.
Yep.
And so, I know we established the zones this summer, but my understanding was at any point we could look at those. I know we're just sort of in the starting process, but is that something we could talk about next meeting, or is that being remedied by staff?
I think we've got it worked out, because that was, I think the mayor made it very clear to staff that parking will be free for library users. So I think we've got figured out, we're working through how to figure that out. We're working with both the vendors, the one that does the payment and the one that actually does the parking system, about how we can just basically do a simple, they come in, give the license plate number, they're in, they're fine, no payment, whatever. We're trying to work it through the system right now, and get that figured out. But we'll make it work so that library patrons don't have to pay for parking in that lot.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, could we put on the agenda to relook at that entire lot and just make that a free lot at the library?
You can, of course, you can add that to the agenda for that if you'd like. My only concern is that my only fear is that if we made it a free lot, we would start seeing a lot of non-library patrons filling it up, so they wouldn't have to pay for downtown
I'm thinking
parking.
kind of in conjunction with what you're saying, though. They would have to have some kind of validation.
It's taken care of. Okay? I mean, what Aaron is talking about, there is a solution, and it's going to be implemented.
So I guess I guess I'm a little confused because the council, we voted to set those, so I think that we would have to, I don't know, feel like we should talk about that and figure out
This was, I thought it was taken care of with the placement of the station inside the building until they found out that the stations are solar powered and there was no way to keep it powered. So, I mean, that was part of the discussion that we had. Okay, so it was just trying to figure out, given that station could not be inside where people that were in the building could validate while they're in the library.
Right.
We had to figure out another way for them to validate. That's all. And that's been done.
I think we should have that taken care of, and I guess I would have concern about making it free, because I don't want to see it abused, and I think that this way, it's not that we're validating basically for users, and that's the way we're addressing it within what's been approved by the council.
There's also part of the agreement with the library when it was put in place, when the library went over there with the police station, was the understanding that lot was for and only for library and police parking.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is what prevents somebody from going there, parking their car?
We shouldn't really have a substantive discussion on this because
Right,
it's
I
not
guess-
on the agenda.
Well, I guess I'm asking to put it on the agenda then, because I think it's not clear to me that what's happening with that, and I don't think it's clear to the public what's happening in that. And I think we're the ones that establish those zones, so we need to figure out if we're going to
Easy
redo the
enough, we can
zone.
have a discussion on that.
Okay.
I'd like to add, either it goes to Public Works or Public Safety to get new turn arrow marking signals at Hanley and Carmichael, as far as lights. Stop turn lights, the green arrows, the red arrows. We're having issues up there, even after we did all that work.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you want it, or Public Safety or whatever.
Offline, you and I can tell me a little bit more about the
Yeah.
issue and do it.
All right, anything else?
Mr. Mayor, do you want to say anything about the public involvement meetings for comprehensive plan?
Oh, a comprehensive plan, we had our most recent meeting was today, and we have come up with means to let the public know that, number one, we want their input in a very big way, and we're going to be monitoring their input and trying to figure out if it's not, I guess this is very subjective, but if it's not substantive enough, or the numbers aren't substantive enough, that we will try to figure out other methods in trying to get people involved. So we do have online, we've contracted with Polco to do online surveying. We are also looking at a couple different methods of getting written surveys out. One would be through the utility mailing, another through potentially talking with the county through their tax mailing, and notices, at least anyway, even if the survey itself doesn't go out that way. And then we're also talking about focus groups, potentially some type of involvement, personal involvement. I think our first public meeting is the 21st.
Yep. Yes. Thursday, November 21st at 6 p.m. in the
5:30, I think. Isn't it? Oh,
We have to be
we have to be there at 5:30. Yeah.
in the gymnasium at EP Rock.
Is the Polco survey working now? Because I tried that link and it was a dead end.
They said that we have 22, 24 surveys already completed online.
Try it again, maybe it was just an issue.
Okay, well, it was just, I had tried it once before because I had been passing that on to people, and then I tried to pass it on again, and so the original time it worked, but then the last time that I tried it, it didn't. So there's an issue.
Send a working link out.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Okay.
We'll be inviting the Plan Commission and Council to all of these public
that's
meetings
right.
as
Good.
well. Individually, you'll get meeting requests. And there'll be a live link from our website in multiple places, most likely, to the actual landing page of the comp plan project.
Cool. Anything else? Thanks, Mike.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.